On a warm golden morning, sunlight washed over the entire Volmont mansion, every corner glowing, except for one. Little Arya Volmont's bedroom. A place meant for laughter and childhood joy now sat frighteningly silent, as if the light itself refused to enter. Arya lay pale on her huge white bed, her breath shallow, her skin cold, and her once bright eyes fading a little more each day. Her father, Rowan Volmont, one of the country's most influential businessmen, had spent millions searching for answers. He hired doctors, flew in specialists, and tried every treatment money could buy, but nothing changed. It felt as if something unseen was draining the little girl's life away. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, hope, and second chances, please like this video. Leave a comment, share it with someone who needs a little light today, and subscribe to World of Kindness. Your support helps these stories reach more hearts across the world. Rowan wasn't a cruel man. He was just broken. Losing his wife during childbirth left him wounded in ways time couldn't heal. Now, watching Arya fade reopened those same scars. He buried himself in work, convinced that money could fix anything, while his daughter's smile slowly disappeared. Her room looked perfect on the surface. Clean sheets, soft curtains, gentle lighting. But the atmosphere was all wrong. It was heavy. It was cold. And Arya barely spoke, barely moved, barely lived. Then came Nora Celeste. A quiet nanny with soft eyes and a calming presence that felt like a warm whisper. She didn't have an impressive resume or a long list of qualifications. Rowan hired her for one simple reason. Arya, who refused to touch anyone, had gently reached for Nora's hand the very first time they met. That single, tiny gesture changed everything. Nora moved into the mansion, dedicating herself completely to Arya's care. The more time she spent with the little girl, the more she sensed the room itself was hurting her. Not the temperature, not the air. Something deeper, something unseen. Nora started to notice patterns. Arya's energy would fade the moment she lay in her bed, but she would improve slightly when they went outside into the garden. Nora saw how Arya woke up trembling, as if frightened by something no one else could see. She even noticed the way Arya's breathing would change whenever she lay near the floor. Nora tried everything. She cleaned. She reorganized. She removed the plants. She changed the linens. She checked for every possible allergy. But Arya only grew weaker. Then, one afternoon, as sunlight flickered across the plush rug, Arya drifted into an uneasy sleep. Her small hands twitched, her brows tightened, and her breaths turned faint, almost non-existent. Nora felt a powerful pull and instinct she just couldn't ignore. She knelt down beside the grand bed and lifted the bed skirt, and she froze. Under the bed sat an old wooden chest, cracked and warped with age, completely out of place in a modern, pristine mansion. A thick layer of dust coated its surface, yet the objects inside were arranged with an uncomfortable, deliberate precision. There was a black and white portrait of a stern-faced woman, a rusted locket, several bundles of dried pungent herbs, an old rosary, strange pieces of parchment covered in symbols that Nora had never seen before. This wasn't just forgotten storage. This was intentional, and it felt deeply, deeply unsettling. The air under the bed felt heavy and suffocating, as if something trapped there had been waiting in the dark for a very long time. Nora's breath shook, but she knew she had to stay calm. She knew Arya's life depended on it. Just then Rowan walked into the room. His footsteps stopped cold, his face drained of all color. He stared at the box, at the portrait inside it. Because he recognized it instantly, it was his mother-in-law. A woman who had despised him. A woman who swore that he had ruined her daughter's life. A woman who had died before Arya was even born. Rowan knelt beside Nora, his body trembling. He explained that after his wife's death, her mother had tried to place protective charms around the baby-old, cultural rituals that were meant to shield a newborn from harm. Rowan, a man who believed in science over superstition, had ordered everything removed. He thought the staff had cleared it all out, but someone, somehow, had put the box back, and in doing so, had twisted its original intention into something much darker. Nora carefully, gently, lifted the chest out from under the bed. In the very moment it left the space beneath Arya, the little girl stirred. Her breathing deepened. Faint touch of color returned to her cheeks, as if the room itself had finally released its grip on her. Rowan and Nora stared at each other, stunned, terrified, and yet relieved. Nora insisted that Arya sleep in the guest room, right beside her. For the first time in months, Arya slept peacefully. There was no trembling. There were no nightmares. There was just calm, restorative rest. And day by day, little Arya blossomed. She started walking in the garden again. She painted pictures of flowers and sunshine. And she laughed a soft, sweet, melodic sound that Rowan thought he might never hear again. Rowan watched all of this from a distance, slowly realizing how blind his own grief had made him. Money couldn't heal his daughter. All the specialists and treatments in the world hadn't worked. But kindness did. Attentiveness did. Nora did. One afternoon, Rowan found Nora reading by the window, with Arya curled happily beside her. The sunlight warmed them both, and for the first time in years, Rowan felt something inside his chest loosen a quiet, fragile hope. He thanked Nora, not with grand gestures or promises of more money, but with sincere, heartfelt words. He promised her and himself that he would become the father Arya had always deserved. Nora stayed not just as a nanny, but as the gentle light that helped rebuild a family and fill a home with warmth instead of silence. The old wooden box was taken far, far away from the mansion and sealed away forever. And though they never discovered who brought it back or why, Rowan stopped searching, because the only truth that mattered was this. Arya lived because someone cared enough to look deeper when everyone else was only looking at the surface. If this story touched your heart, please like this video. Share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to World of Kindness. Your support helps bring more meaningful stories to the world. And before you go, comment below, what moment in this story moved you the most? Sometimes healing begins the very moment someone decides to care.